Hey everybody, welcome back to Hack and Splash Page. I'm Tiffany, and today I'm really excited to talk to you about Birthright. It's a book co-created by Joshua Williamson and Andre Brisson, written by Williamson, art by Brisson, and colors by Adriano Lucas. It's actually a book that I've had waiting in the wings. You've probably seen it on my desk before, and I hadn't really started tackling larger story arcs, but since I've been doing that lately, I figured, you know what? This just came out in trade paperback. The 6th issue will be coming out in April, and I think it's time that we should talk about it because I think it's a really great book. Okay, so tell me if you've heard this story before. A kid gets transported to another world where only they can save that world for some great evil. Sure, we've probably all heard this tale before, but what we don't usually talk about is the aftermath, or the effect that this sort of event would have on the world that's left behind. Birthright does that and more. It takes a young boy by the name of Mikey and rips him from his family, who's thrown into chaos. The father's accused of murdering the boy, and his wife leaves him, and his other son is just left in the middle. This is just the first few pages of the book, and already it's kind of going against the grain of what you typically think of this sort of story. But it kind of goes off the rails even more so when they bring the hero back. For his family, he's only been gone for maybe a year, but for him, he's been gone for many, many years. And now he's an adult, and he's on a mission. His family's actually brought together again at the police station where they've arrested an adult who claims to be Mikey himself. Mikey convinces his father and his brother Brennan of his identity and escapes from police custody to fulfill his mission, seeking 5 war criminals. They're actually sort of like these elemental wizards and have come to this world and are threatening its safety, according to Mikey. He says that he's defeated the God King Lore in the other world, Terranos, and must stop these 5 to vanquish the evil entirely. However, things are not what they seem with Mikey, which the book does reveal at the end of issue 1. It actually doesn't take long for Mikey, his brother, and his dad to track down the first criminal, Ward the Betrayer, and dispatch him. If you want to know what his element was, it's kind of like nature, trees, that kind of thing. Just as Ward dies, he shows Brennan a bit of truth about his brother. In fact, their interactions kind of call into question if the wizards are actually war criminals at all. During the fight, Mikey and Brennan's dad suffers from burns, which are actually caused by Mikey's crazy fire sword and the fires it actually starts in the surrounding area. I mean, it makes sense. You got a wizard who's, tree or, nature-based. You want to use fire against it. I don't know. I kind of guess that's RPG 101. The group splits off and the brothers go off alone, leaving their dad to seek help for his burns and also to kind of slow down the feds who are obviously chasing them. I mean, I didn't mention it before, but Mikey did rip through a police station and dispatch, well, not dispatch, but injured many an officer during his escape. This arc ends with a reveal in the last pages where someone else has returned from Terranos. I'm not going to tell you who it is, because I really want you to check it out if you're interested in this. Also, this is only half the story. While all of this is going on in the ordinary world, we're getting the story of Mikey's journey in Terranos, his recruitment by Rook, an orc-looking leader of the resistance against Lore, and the meeting of the Gideon, a winged people who work with Rook. Most notably of them is Raya. She's actually kind of close to Mikey's age and is probably going to serve to be a trainer and a companion throughout his journey. We learn about the Birthright and start to understand what it means. We also get an idea of the gravity of this mission and see that Mikey cannot return until he's completed his task, even if all he wants to do is get home to his family. The fact is, there's so many layers to this tale. On the one hand, we have the hero's journey, the aftermath of it, and even possibly the failure of it. On the other hand, we're also kind of starting a new journey with Brennan. This story is also about the life of those left behind and the pain and confusion of 2 people who have lost their son and then gotten him back. Clearly, Mikey's dad feels immense guilt for losing his son and doesn't really know how to cope with it. And while yes, Mikey's mother Wendy is featured in the story, it seems to focus more on brother to brother and father to son. We do learn through Wendy that Mikey's father's parenting style was similar to Robin Williams' character at the beginning of Mrs. Doubtfire, so he hasn't always been the most responsible parent. We also explore the aftermath of a person having gone through such a stressful experience and then trying to return to a regular life, and how it may not be as easy as they had hoped. As you might imagine, I really enjoyed Williamson's writing. The dialogue flows nicely and everyone has their own voice. The story is engaging, and like I said, it has a lot of layers to it. However, I didn't find it overwhelming. Instead, the layers just kind of reveal themselves in a natural way. Bresson's art is such a great match for this story. There's a certain grit and a harshness that's present in both the ordinary world and Theranos. And in both cases, the character designs and the anatomy are great, and it really lends the story a certain level of realism. Even the inks help to kind of ground the art and give it this sort of serious tone. For me, his inks kind of really shine because he creates these amazing textures with them, which add this sort of like completeness to each panel. You know, even the ones that aren't super detailed end up feeling finished. Overall, the art really emphasizes the potential danger that Mikey's in. Bresson also composes some really stellar action sequences, which I was really excited to see. And the colorist takes care to bring the characters and the action to the foreground. He uses color to create a certain mood for each panel and each location. And when you pair all of that with Bresson's art, it really makes for an enjoyable visual experience. Okay, so some final thoughts. Even though I do a lot of space stories, I do love a fantasy adventure, but this book seems to be so much more. It's also about families and about brothers, it's about coming home, and it's about what it means to be a hero. It kind of strips away some of the fantasy of the situation and replaces it with a harshness of reality and war. I think what I like most about this is the mystery that's surrounding the hero's epic, and right now it's almost like unwinding a ball of yarn from both ends. At some point, Mikey's history and his present are going to merge, and I look forward to seeing what happens when it does. So if you like fantasy stories, I'd say grab this. Even if you're just into the hero's journey in general, I think this is something that might be for you. I know at the very least, I'm really looking forward to the 6th issue in April. Alright guys, question time. So do you think that you would go on an adventure of this type where you would learn all sorts of crazy combat, battle great beasts, and save an entire people essentially, or an entire world at the, I guess, the sacrifice of your current life? Or do you think you would pass on it and say, you're gonna have to find another Birthright? I mean, you would return, but you would be older than you were now, so the life that you would have now would be kind of altered. I don't think I would go, I have to be honest with you. I mean, if it was a different set of circumstances, sure, I might go have a fun adventure and then return back to my life like they normally do in the movies. But the situation has such an intense emotional attachment and sort of realism to it, I just don't think I'd go. So, that's it for me this week. Thank you so much for watching, and hey, if you read Birthright, let me know if you liked it or you didn't. You know I like to hear about it either way. Also, if you get a chance, give us a like or subscribe to the channel, and you can click right here to check out all the other fun stuff that we do around here. And don't forget, we got that cool TeePublic store, which you can check out in the description box down below. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching Hack and Splash Page, and I will see you guys next week.